Hi, everybody. Week two. Introduction again. Hi, I'm Keisha, creative graphic designer. I've been in the industry as a professional for about 2 decades. One thing I've noticed after watching the first video is like I'm code switching. So, one of the things I'm going to watch as the weeks go on, if you don't know what code switching is, please look it up. But I'm going to try and watch like if it turns off because it's not something I'm conscious of. It just happens. I've been doing it so long. I don't think I have complete control over it. But it's definitely something I do. So I'm gonna see how that plays out. The more comfortable I am in front of the camera, maybe it'll switch off. I don't know. We'll see. This is not a code switching episode. This is a oh, one thing I did think about too, also, is most people of color code switch, of course, to assimilate. It's a sad thing. And look it up. And once you peel back the onion, it's pretty sad. But if Inside Out were about a person of color next to like anxiety, and sadness, and ennui, and whatever, like there would definitely be like a little code switching character. Anyway, I'm going to get into the topic of the episode, which is leading with empathy, which I guess could tie back to code switching in a way. Leading with empathy. This is something I think most women, not all, most women do naturally. We're natural caregivers. So, of course, all people can do this because people are mostly the same. We are more the same than we are different. So if you're thinking you're not a leader and you're about to turn this video off, I'm going to tell you don't do that, because it's not necessarily about like leading at your job. It's not about like being a manager, being a C-suite director, or even a project manager role. You could be a leader in like a family dynamic. Maybe you're a parent. Your kids are looking up to you for that leadership. Maybe you're a sibling. You have siblings and you're the leader of the pack in a way. I won't call names, but I'm very close to someone who definitely says that they are the youngest, but not necessarily baby. And they're not necessarily the baby. So yeah, no matter what age you are in the sibling ranking, like you can definitely still be the leader of the pack. Maybe you're the leader of a friend group. You're the person that people tend to come to for advice or to help plan something, or, like we have different roles of leadership, whether it's at church or school, whatever it is. It doesn't have to just be at work. So if you think you're not a leader, know that you are in some way, and some of us are not consistent leaders. You kind of go in and out, and know that also the people that are consistent leaders, if you have one of those in your life, make sure you give them a break. Make sure you're letting them rest, just like everybody else, taking some weight or something off their plate. I don't think that's talked about a lot. They're like definitely like leaders or people you think of as like strong people. They still need time and space to be soft and broken and vulnerable. So please, if you know anybody like that, give them space to do that. Why leading with empathy is important. I think it's pretty clear why. We're people, we're whole people, and all of us just want to be seen, valued, heard, right? We don't want to be overlooked or feel invisible. And we definitely don't want that from somebody we think of as like an authority figure or a leader. So if you're a leader of any kind, I'm going to try not to say leader like 50 million times in this video. But if you are in that role, make sure that you're doing this because it's something that you truly care about, right? Like you care about people. That's why you manage people. You don't become a manager because you're good at managing work. You become a manager because you're good at managing people or helping people as well as the work. So if you don't have empathy, maybe you shouldn't be a manager. If you don't have empathy, maybe don't take that leadership role, but take like a leading support role. maybe that's your place. I don't know, but make sure when you do any type of like exercise and empathy that it's coming from a real place, a place of like caring truly about the people. And one of the reasons I do this is because I've been very blessed with a lot of great managers in my life. And I think back as to like what made them great. And it was really about some of those one-on-one interactions, or when things were rough, how they handled it, or maybe even getting on the other side to like moving on to like a bad manager and then missing some of the things that my past manager did. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know how good I had it until it was gone. Like, so I try and emulate the things that I know made me feel valued. And I'll share some of those with you. These are by no means like an extensive list of all the things you can do, but just some examples that I know I try and incorporate in my leadership. And one is really like being a cheerleader for people. People are not very good at like sharing their wins. I know friends who've won awards, who've been published in books, who, do great things, and I may not hear about it, and until like months later, and I'm like, why didn't you tell me? I would have like, told the rest of the team, or if I do find out about it early, I make sure not only to get consent, but like, hey, I want to tell everybody like this is awesome. You want to celebrate you if it's your birthday, if it's something great you've done, if it's a project you've worked on that, maybe you just knocked it out of the park. I want to celebrate you. Not only celebrate you, but be an advocate for you. If I see that you're struggling, I'm gonna, be the person to be like, hey, we need some help over here because so-and-so is overworked, or I'm gonna step in and personally take some of that work off of you if I can. But being that person that not only is your cheerleader, but your advocate, but you trust to come to me with problems or wins. It doesn't always have to be problems, right? I mean, that's true for like even parenting. You want your kids to come to you when things get difficult, not like directing orders at someone. It's, hey, how can I help you? What do you need? What's going on? Like what are some of the wins in your week? Like, let's really talk about it outside of like, yeah, we'll get to the work and stuff, but I want to know more about you. Like, what do you do for hobbies and what are you doing on the weekend? Like, let's really get to know each other, because I'm going to see you probably more than my family because I'm working with you 8 hours a day. So like, I really want to show up as a person. I want you to show up to work as a full person. I don't want you to have to code switch when you're in a room with me and try and, like I know of people that have said like, oh, I feel so weird sometimes at work because I feel like I'm not professional enough. Like, what does that even mean? Like, you don't have to show up to work being professional. I think that's why I was code switching on the first episode, because of the way I was dressed and my hat and my hair and all that. Like, I felt like I wasn't showing up, knowing I was going to post it on LinkedIn in a professional manner. So I kind of put the voice on, the work voice. It wasn't necessary. You know what I mean? So something I learned after the fact, and I want to make sure, like, as people, to validate people and tell them, like, you can show up as you. Like, as long as you're not being disrespectful or harmful to anybody else or yourself, like, show up as you. I want all of you. I don't want the work you. I want you. Like, you were hired because hopefully your personality came across in the interview and it felt like a good culture fit. Like, you're adding to the culture when you show up as all of you. And another way is to like make sure you're open to the feedback, good or positive. Good or positive, okay. Positive or negative. Like, no matter what, like if you're, out of line, said something offensive or whatever, like, take responsibility for it. Apologize. Do things to not do that in the future. But you can't improve until you get the feedback, right? So be open to that as well. Be the person to say the thing out loud. 7:30 meeting in the morning. Do we all need to be on camera? We need to be on camera for this. Everybody's thinking it. Maybe nobody says it. Or if you're leading the meeting, put in a freaking agenda. Hey, I know it's an early meeting for some, cameras are optional. Say something out loud that people are thinking that. Setting expectations, right? Your team member or colleague is going out of town, like, hey, I know you're going out of town on Friday. Don't check your email. Like, work will be here. Nothing's going to happen while you're gone that we can't handle. Please do not work while you're off work. That also goes for you as a leader, like lead by example. If you're out and you're checking your email, they're going to feel like they need to check their email when they're out. So make sure you're doing the things that you're preaching, right? Like, you can't go out here and say, do as I say, not as I do. That doesn't work. You have to lead by example. I think that's kind of it. That's pretty much it. One of the things I think leading with empathy also comes from like self-love and knowing your self-worth. So one of the things that my mom really instilled in me, like really young, is like I couldn't say can't. Like can't was a bad word. Like I can't do it, or I don't know how to do it, or I'm not good at it. I would get in trouble. And the reason is because she would always say, like, there's nobody standing in your way but you. She never told me about the obstacles of like being a Black woman in the United States came with. I never knew any of that. I learned that on my own. And I think that was, for me, the best way, because I grew up in a Black neighborhood, going to a Black Baptist church, going to an all Black elementary school, and up until 6th grade, that was probably the first time that I was really out in the world. So that's when I started to really understand like how the world started, like how it worked. And like everybody wasn't Black. I mean, like my world was Black. I was in a Black bubble. It was really nice. It also taught me a lot of like, I guess it helped me be more confident in who I am as a person. We celebrated Blackness and Black excellence. I mean, another thing she does currently to this day is, and this is going to be the challenge of the week, she compliments a stranger once a day. If she leaves her house and she meets someone she doesn't know, or she sees someone, she goes out of her way to at least give a compliment out a day. And I know for some people that may be difficult. And if it is for you, I have another challenge. If you think that's challenging, then maybe you need to give yourself a compliment once a day. Maybe you need to start with yourself. And I do mean like look in a mirror, look in your eyes and compliment yourself. Give yourself something positive that you like about yourself once a day for a week. And the next week, do the actual challenge. Because I think loving others, leading with empathy, starts with loving yourself, right? Like you have to love yourself in order to give proper love. So that's the challenge of the week. And yeah, like I want to know how it went. After a week, let me know how it went. Did it change your perspective? Did it help you? What are some examples of, in your career, or were you led with empathy, or someone made you see or feel valued or seen? I want to know, like, what are some of the traits that a memorable manager had that you would like to share? I would love to know exactly how you see leading with empathy show up in the world. So that's this week, guys. Until next week, please stay safe out there. And I mean, the challenge this week is spread love. So make sure you do that. Until next week, guys. Bye.